How the hell is it going? It is Rich. Welcome back to the studio where I draw manga and comic inspired stuff. Today I'm working on dynamic anatomy and particularly female dynamic anatomy. So if that's something that you're interested in, go and hit the subscribe button, ring the bell for notifications, give me a thumbs up, and comment down below what you want to see more of, whether that's perspective or anatomy or getting down into some detailed manga drawing. Alright, and just because I don't think I said it yet, brand new format. I'm going to be uploading every Tuesday and Friday, twice a week. And some new opportunities in life have given me more opportunities to really upgrade this YouTube channel, make it even better, and upload more often. And hopefully that means more quality content for you guys. I am currently freelancing, so if you guys like my art and want to commission me for, whatever illustration piece, go on and hit me up. You can message me on Instagram, send me direct messages there, whatever. But let's get into this anatomy piece. I kind of start off with a pillow method, and if you don't know what the pillow method is, I made a YouTube video about it. I'll probably add a little thingy up here in the upper right corner linking to that, or I can just tell you about it right now. The pillow method is basically, the proportions of a pillow, and that's kind of like the torso, from like the shoulders down to the pelvis. It's basically what the pillow looks like, and it's similar to the bean method if you're familiar with animation process and methods. They use a bean as like a basic shape for moving the human body, and really just the body part, the pelvis to the torso. But yeah, and basically, anyway, go look up the pillow method. I start with the pillow method, and I kind of lay out my guidelines, do a quick gesture. Now, this is a basic pose. She's just kind of standing there, looking back at us, and no simple pose is ever as simple as you think it is. So we have, several different layers here. We have, with her shoulders turning, one arm's coming closer to us and overlapping her back, and then the other arm is going even further back in space behind her body. So there's a few different layers there. It's not just simple standing with her back straight towards us and then her head turned and looking at us, because that's not how people really move in real life. So it's important to take note and detail of actual human movements and then applying that to your art. And even for a simple pose, don't be afraid to find reference. Like, I was just looking through my art book and I found this pose and I was like, wow, that's a great pose. And it's because of, the little hints of, not the little hints of realism, but how realistic the pose was. Really makes anime characters pop out when you do stuff like that. Just when you have these characterized people that are so, cartoonish and exaggerated, the lifelike things that you can make them do make them realistic and believable. That's why Pixar's so successful. They have these little square people, but because they make them so human in emotion and movement, you really believe them and empathize with them. So so yeah, still working on the torso. Really practice your measurements and musculature. I didn't go too much into that with this video. I really wanted to capture, just her looking back and the subtleties of it. So on to the next pose. I found this one in my Evangelion art book, and this book is an amazing source of inspiration and creativity. just really inspires me, and it's a great source of reference too for poses. I love this book, like almost just exclusively for poses and outfits. Like, you wouldn't believe the amount of licensing that Evangelion has done in Japan for all kinds of strange fashion outlets and stuff. But anyway, so I snagged this pose, and she's kind of in this run jump kind of pose, going away from us but looking back, and that is kind of key to any kind of illustration. From all the interviews that I've heard, and basically any great piece of illustration that you can look at, the character is always looking back at you or at the camera, especially if it's a solo one. They're not looking off, they're not looking away. The majority of their face will be turned towards the camera. So, and it's almost always the focus of any kind of composition. So it's important to know your head and facial anatomy and proportions, because people know when it's wrong. They might not be able to say what's wrong or explain it, but they'll know when it's wrong. So I'm working on my gesture, the gesture of the drawing and the whole piece, and it's too big right now. But I kind of liked it at first, and I was like, well, maybe this is good, having it even more cropped in. Really draws you more to the action, and always makes it seem more dynamic when there's stuff that's like just off frame. Not important elements, obviously, but yeah. So I'm very sketchy, very loose, very rough. It's almost like sculpting for me when I'm drawing. I see all these other clean artists on YouTube, and I'm like, that's not real. Like that just doesn't seem real to me. Like they start measuring it out, the proportions of everything and the face, and the eyes are gonna go here and here, and and it's super clean, and they measure it. I'm like, what? That can't be right. That's not real. That's not how people draw. You go by feeling, or you go off of a reference photo, but you aren't really like measuring it out like that. It just seems so fake to me. All the great artists that I've seen, actually drawing in videos, they're much sketchier, much looser, and that's really the whole point. You have several different draft phases before you get to a final illustration, right? You have kind of like the thumbnail, and then you have like a rough sketch, and then you go to an outline or underdrawing, and then you take that to the tracing table, and then you would do a tighter detailed drawing and inks, and then you go on to color it. So, I mean, don't be fooled by these other artists who are doing these measurements and super clean drawings, and it looks like they did on a first try. Like, that's not really real, unless there's some sort of friggin' prodigy like Kim Jung-gi. He is a real master. He's been doing this shit for decades. He's the only one who can really do this, just on a first draft, with no pencil, just going straight into inks and brushwork. Like, that dude's a master. A legitimate master. He's been working on this forever, honing his craft. So just go to Jim Lee's YouTube channel, and you'll see that guy's been drawing just as long as Kim Jung-gi, just as super talented, and he still does these rough drawings in pencil, and then he goes into inks, and his pencils aren't very detailed, but he's not doing what Kim Jung-gi does. Like, it's just different thought processes, and different brains can do different things. And don't think you have to be like Kim Jung-gi or Shinigami Arts or Jim Lee. Do your process, and the better you get at it, the less pre-work you will have to do. So, like, I used to have to do super detailed sketches before I could go into inking, and now I'm getting closer to that Jim Lee phase. But not that I'm anywhere near as good as Jim Lee, but I'm getting closer to that phase where I can just be like super loose. I can just draw a stick figure and make sure that it's all kind of proportioned and in the right spot, and then go into inking. That's what I'm getting closer to. But this was a really fun study. For years I kind of went through this rut where I really didn't draw any kind of dynamic poses or anything. It was all just characters looking straight at you, or straight from the side, profile shots in 3/4, nothing super crazy or dynamic like this. And this is really jump-started my creativity and reinvigorated my love for art. and got me more into it by just looking through all these reference photos and finding crazy dynamic poses. So here I'm doing the belt. I'm turning this into the 90s Rogue costume. I'm drawing Rogue, but in like 90s Rogue costume. She had that really loose belt, that really tiny jacket with the sleeves rolled up, and it's such an iconic and classic costume. And I was like, this pose is actually perfect for Rogue. And the Misato was wearing this jacket in the picture. I was like, I could just shorten that jacket. Could show more of her anatomy and abs and chest. And I was like, oh, so this is basically Rogue. So you're going to see I actually resize the image so I can incorporate the rest of her legs that are missing. So it looks more like a flying pose, which would make it even more suitable for Rogue. And now I'm even adjusting the pose more to make it more unique and specific to my image and illustration. And that's really the purpose of reference. Unless you're a fine artist and you are intentionally trying to draw specifically your subject as they are in real life on the paper, reference is just reference. You take it and you take out of it what you want and leave what you don't. And that's what I did. I took all of it, and then I'm figuring out what I'm going to leave, what I'm changing and altering, and now it's a unique piece that I did. So and if you haven't seen my other videos on dynamic anatomy, it's medical anatomy plus what you want to see. So you're taking the medical anatomy and you're exaggerating it in very specific ways that work best for you and the piece. So here I'm going to resize it so I can finish the legs, and that'll make her look like she's flying. Because in the reference photo, both of her legs are up. So it's perfect. And her hand is up like it's blocking out the sun. I was like, this is going to be perfect. It's exactly, I don't know, it's just like a great Rogue piece. And I actually can't wait to finish it. I don't finish it in this video. Look forward to the next video. I'll ink it. Maybe I'll color it. But yeah, and if you don't know, I'm working in Clip Studio. Just amazing pens and pencils. I love the line work. I've always tried drawing in Photoshop and I could never get clean lines like I wanted, and there's some sort of disconnect between me and the tablet where I couldn't get the right proportions and anatomy like I wanted, and so I kind of just kept falling back to pencil and paper. Not that pencil and paper is less, I think it's even better, but I prefer to draw pencil on paper. But being able to draw on my computer and record it like this really helps me when it comes to video production and stuff, and creating those finished like illustrations for me to do on commission work. So her other leg is up where that initial foot is that I'm erasing. That's what it looked like in the reference, and now I'm debating, having the leg down. I'm just going straight across. It could increase composition, but then it's going to look more like a running pose and a really messed up running pose. So you're going to see I just end up removing that leg too and going back to the reference. So hair is really great for composition as well. You can have it blowing in whatever direction you want, and it really increases just the overall beauty of the piece and composition. Draw the eye wherever you want to draw it to. That's one of the things that I really liked about Rogue's costume with the loose belt. It can be going whichever way you want. It can be, and it shows movement too when it's not, when it's loose like that. Because if you think about movement, you move one way, the belt's going to go the other way. So those are all things that you need to think about when you're creating, dynamic illustrations. Really how that all affects each other. So if you haven't yet, go and hit the subscribe button, ring the bell for notifications. Like this video if you are trying to learn anatomy and become better, just like me. Constantly learning, constantly trying to get better. Trying to hit 1,000 subscribers, then I can actually stream from my phone and I can do more pencil and paper drawings. That's just a goal of mine. Although I'm really liking Clip Studio and I'm not having the problems I used to have when working with Photoshop and trying to draw there. For some reason, things are just working much better for me now. So I might stay with this format. Go ahead and comment, who's your favorite 90s X-Men? If you're still here, who's your favorite 90s X-Men? Is it Rogue? Is the 90s costume your favorite costume? Let me know. I think it's absolutely iconic. I think it's your best one. I actually can't think of another Rogue costume. Like this. I think this is the one that everybody thinks of. Thanks for joining me here in the studio today, guys, and comment down below what you guys want to see next. More dynamic anatomy? Perspective? Well, let me know.